Sarcasm Speaks. Jared Bob here. We're back for another one. I've got a fun story here out of the gate that has to do with football. But more specifically, it's about the Washington Commanders, the team formerly known as the football team, formerly known as the Redskins. Um, so the Commanders fired one of their executives recently after a secretly recorded video showed him making derogatory comments about players, fans, and executives. So the guy's name is Rael Entine, and he had been the Commander's vice president of content since 2020. So he's in like the marketing department. So the leaked video, allegedly recorded in June, captured him making disparaging comments during what he believed was a sit-down restaurant date with someone he met on a dating app. His date was actually with an undercover reporter for O'Keefe Media, which that's the same guy. The James O'Keefe is the guy that used to run Project Veritas, and then they booted him out. So he went and started his own thing called O'Keefe Media. Um, so the date was actually an undercover reporter with O'Keefe Media, a news media company founded by self-proclaimed guerrilla journalist who specializes in secretly recorded videos. In the footage, Entine criticized NFL players, calling them all, quote, dumb as hell, and accusing many of them for being homophobic. Over 50% of our roster is white, religious, and and God says, quote, fuck the gays. Their interpretation, though, I don't buy any of that. So again, that's a direct quote from Entine during this date. He also described a big chunk of players as low-income African Americans that come from a community that is inherently very homophobic. Entine alleged also, actually, before I get into that, that part, I mean, it's not really shocking, right? Like,
my gut reaction was like, no shit.
yeah, it's kind of like no shit, right? So like that's kind of going to be the theme when I get through all of this. It's going to kind of be like, okay, but the first part, right, where it's you know most of them, over half the roster is white and religious, and God says, fuck the gays, basically, right? And a lot of the African American players come from low income families, and they're inherently homophobic. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not completely inaccurate. So he goes on during this date and says that Jerry
Hell of
Jones.
a date, by the way.
Yeah, I know, right? So like I guess
Well,
before we go further,
I think he's getting baited as he goes,
oh,
but
for sure, he's for sure getting baited. But I don't know if you've seen, you may have and just not have known if you've ever seen any of those videos in the past, where like the Project Veritas people will go on dates. Like that's how they nailed someone in the White House, I think, a couple of years ago. Was on a date. It was like a gay guy was on a date with another guy, and he got him to like spill a bunch of stuff. It was immediate. He was in the media department at the White House, and like a lot of crazy shit came out. Like it's what they do, right? Like it happens all the time. Which is one of those things like, hey man, like maybe don't like spill all these fucking crazy secrets on a first date, right? Someone you met on a dating app. I don't know, dude, but whatever. So N-Teen goes on to allege that Jerry Jones, the longtime owner of the Dallas Cowboys, quote, really runs the NFL. And that Jones, quote, again, hates gay people and black people. So according to Real Entin, who has been the vice president of the Commanders content, right? Call him marketing, I guess. He's like the vice president of marketing for the Commanders for the last 4 years, says that Jerry Jones really runs the NFL and that he hates gay people and black people. So again, that's one of those like, I mean, I'm not really surprised, right? Like Jerry Jones is an oil tycoon from Texas. He's like 82 years old. Like it's not a surprise, right? Like if
Yeah.
you told me an 82-year-old white guy from Texas that made money from an oil fortune, hated racist, hated black people and gays, I would have been like, yeah, okay. Are you going to tell me the sky is blue next? Like,
Yeah.
whatever. So there's more. Enteen calls the NFL's social justice initiatives, quote unquote, performative, right? Saying it's not done out of the goodness of their heart. It's because George Floyd changed the game. It's to make as much money as possible. He claimed the league makes so much money that they can faux prioritize DEI for the sake of good publicity. Now, this one is extra scathing to me because he is the vice president of communication or content, right? So he's in the marketing department for an NFL football team, and he's saying none of this is done out of the goodness of their heart, right? They can faux prioritize DEI for the sake of good publicity. It's all just to make more money. So that part, like, I certainly believe, right? The stuff about Jerry Jones, you can at least make the argument, like, in a court, right? Not that you would, but if it came to it, you could make the argument in a court, well, that's hearsay, right? Like, this guy might not know Jerry Jones. He only hears what other people talk about. It's rumors, it's all that. As far as this goes, no, man. This guy works in the marketing department, and he's telling you that the way the NFL markets the DEI stuff is total bullshit. So again, that's the one that like kind of really sticks there. He also mocked the fans of the NFL, calling them high school educated alcoholics and mouth breathers, while referring to NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell as a $50 million puppet for team owners. So that was the video, and then in a official press release the Commanders released said the language used in the video runs counter to our values of the Commanders organization. The Commanders stated after initially suspending Enteen on Wednesday, on Thursday, the day the 2024 NFL regular season began, Washington fired him. So they issued a statement and they suspended him, and then the next day they were like, yeah, because they probably didn't watch the video. Right. So like someone said something, they issued a statement on Wednesday. They're like, yeah, he's suspended. They probably watched the video and then was like, oh shit. The next day they were like, yeah, man, you're fired. Like you can't be here. Um, so the situation comes ahead of a highly anticipated season for the Commanders, who are under new ownership. So that's the article there. But like you said, that's one hell of a date. Like that's insane, dude. Like you're gonna spill that kind of information to a person you met on a dating app.
And like, who talks that much?
Yeah, seriously.
And why?
Yeah. I don't know. Seems kind of crazy. But again, so all of that said, I don't think any of that information is groundbreaking.
No, I mean, like, if you want to say, oh, the dude was fired, it's like, dude, like behind the scenes, you're fired for being a dumbass. It's not necessarily what you said. It's the fact that you said it and it got
Right.
leaked
Right.
and you fucking just, again, you couldn't shut your mouth. So
Yeah.
that's how I'm looking at that. Like, okay, yeah, you got fired for being an idiot.
For
And like,
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
talking shit about an owner, like obviously, like the other owner, because they're a fucking team right there. Like the other owner's gonna fire you because you talked shit about one of his buddies.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean the info, it's like, yeah, and
Yeah. Not surprising. Right. It's all kind of it's
what
all
do you
kind
got?
of stuff and rumors that like you hear anyway if you follow football closely enough, whether like, people talk about it on Twitter or podcasts or, just drop hints here and there, things like that, like on radio shows, right? Like Belger and Maz or, whatever your local sports station is. People have been talking about that for years, right? They're like, everyone knows Jerry Jones is the guy that kind of like, carries the weight behind the scenes. It's Jerry Jones and it's Bob Kraft. Those are the two guys everyone always talks about that runs the NFL. Like they're the ones that do it, right? And anytime there's been a lot of shit like come up that goes one likes that the other doesn't, there's been a lot of shit talking between them. And then everyone always goes, oh, this is going to be a real problem, right? Because it's between Jones and Kraft. And like when they're in lockstep, that's what the NFL does. But when they're against each other, there's going to be real issues. And I mean, like I said, all the local radio stations around here, like they all say, like, oh, Goodell's just a puppet, right? He's all he is a puppet for the owners.
That's why he keeps getting extensions because he does exactly what they want.
Right. Right.
So again, and
Yeah. So
that's why I've got nothing because yeah, like you're like again, you're a dumbass for sharing all that with someone you don't even know when you work for the NFL. Imagine that if you worked for like Titleist and
yeah.
you just only talked about how bad all their clubs were and how their balls suck and how you should play like Callaway balls and fucking ping clubs
Yeah, it just kind of blows my mind.
to someone you don't know.
Yeah, to someone you don't know, right? Like someone you met on an app to go on a date with, right? Like, yeah, it just
Dumbass, dude.
seems really odd. Like if that's
Yeah,
if that was the case, like you could also probably make the argument, at that point I would say like why would you work for that company? But you probably make a ton of money, right? It's a $10 billion industry. Like the vice president of content for the Commanders probably makes, you know, somewhere between three and $500,000 a year, if I were to guess.
yeah, I got no frame of reference, but I know that's a job you don't just don't give up
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
work for like a fucking startup or something.
Yeah. So yeah, but you're just gonna talk shit about your team, right? Like you said, right? Like, what if you worked for Titleist and you went on a date and was just like, yeah, no, Titleist is terrible. You should go tailor made. Right? Like you should really look into the tailor made stuff because the stuff we make, then you'd be like, dude, why don't you go work for tailor made then?
Yeah,
Like
like
why do you work for Titleist?
and then yeah, and it's again, so he definitely got bait again, going back to like
Yeah,
he got
right.
baited, but I'm also like, why are you sharing all of this? That one's answerable, but
Yeah. Yeah. Or like you're like there's no red flags or anything that pop up when someone is just interested in the league itself and not you, right? Like typically on a date, right? Like it's been a while, but usually you talk about like yourself, the other person, maybe your family or what you like to do for fun or, your job briefly, like, oh, what do you do? Oh, I'm the vice president of content for the Washington Commanders. Oh, that's really cool. What's that like? We do this, we do that. It's like, can you tell me more about the deep, dirty secrets of the NFL? And you'd be like,
no,
well, no, I don't think so. Like, there aren't any, right? You just lie. Like, there really aren't any, or like, if they are, like, I don't really know much. You know what I mean? Like, what are you doing?
like I said, hopefully he gets picked up so he can like earn a living.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, dude, you're a dumbass. That's why you got fired.
yeah. Yeah, like I'm sure he'll be fine. He'll go get some job as like the chief marketing officer for like some tech company somewhere, right? Like
Yeah, where no one will
he'll
care and no one will interview him and
right, right.
no one will try to juice him for fucking secrets.
But also kind of makes you wonder how long have they been trying to do something like that, right? Like how long have they been trying to find something inflammatory for someone who works at the NFL? Right?
Probably a long time. I was
Like
thinking
have
that
they
because
just
I
been
was just about to
sending
say,
people on
like,
like
should we?
random dates like for years and years until they find the one dumbass that's going to spill the beans?
I was about to say, I'm like, should we now move on to how scummy of a fucking move that is?
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not like
Yeah, it's not like traditional journalism, right?
right.
You're effectively tricking people.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's not traditional journalism, right? Where you're asking questions, you're doing research, you're calling people to fact check and verify stories and do what you need to do and this and that. And hey, if you give me a quote for this story, maybe when I write it, I won't make it sound so bad. Like, as kind of shady as that might sound, like that's how you get information. That's how journalism works. Right. But if you're just going to be like going on fake dates with like, you know, tens, if not hundreds of people that work in the NFL over the course of X number of years, just until you find something inflammatory, like that's shitty. Right. Because then the other thing too is like, was it all of the NFL or were they specifically targeting the Commanders?
Yeah, that's a good question. They probably were trying to get the Commanders, knowing that it's like that organization's been a debacle under Dan Snyder for a long time.
Right. Right.
And then they just happened to get all of the NFL.
Yeah. It's kind of like the whole, not to bring up a sore subject here on this show, but it's kind of like the John Gruden email thing. You guys wouldn't
If
know.
only we could have talked about that.
Yeah, you guys wouldn't know because that episode got removed from YouTube. It got scrubbed. But um, like the only reason John Gruden got fired was or the because they found those emails while they were investigating Dan Snyder,
Yeah.
right? And it was emails that were sent a decade before Gruden was even working at the Raiders. He was still working at ESPN at the time. And it was like, oh, but just because they found them, they released them and now they fired their coach. Like that whole thing was just shitty. But I mean, what can you do
World of
with that?
idiots, dude.
Yeah.
Absolute world of idiots.
uh all right, what else? Oh, speaking of world of idiots, this is a quick one and then we can wrap it up here. The I saw this the other day. There was a doctor in Florida who is an idiot, and had a patient.
Doctor? No.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah. There's just another reason, right? We talk all the time about, in a previous episode, we were talking about how textbooks are stupid because they don't have accurate information. We always talk about how just because someone's a doctor doesn't mean that they're fucking smart, right? Like someone had to come in last in their class, right? Like it happens. So there was a doctor in Florida that had a patient that came in for a splenectomy, right? So they needed their spleen removed for whatever reason. And the doctor went in and removed their liver instead. And I know you know this, but I don't know if some of our listeners know. The liver is pretty important. You need that. The spleen is important, but you can live without it. The spleen, the gallbladder, the appendix, like one of your kidneys, right? Like all of these things, like you can live without them. You you can't live without a liver. So the patient died, and now the doctor is being sued. But there is like all of this information that's coming out. It's like, well, it's an easy miss or something like that. They were saying
No.
it's like,
No.
no, no, it's not an easy miss
No.
at
They're
all.
different organs.
They're very different organs. You're a doctor, you should know that. And
You're a surgeon
also,
specifically.
I'm not a doctor, right? And I know that the spleen is on the left side of your abdomen and the liver is on the right side of your abdomen.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, to be fair, I think this dude should go to jail.
yeah, I think he should probably go to jail as well.
I mean, I don't know if it's murder, it's probably manslaughter, but
No, but I mean, manslaughter, medical malpractice, like whatever you want to hammer them with, right? Like imagine that, like you're going into surgery to have a non-vital organ removed and you fucking die not because of complications to surgery. You die because the doctor removed a vital organ,
That's
not the
my thing
non-vital
is
one.
like there should certainly be something. Yeah, because not only are they on different sides of the body, they're generally different shapes.
Yep.
Liver also looks harder to remove.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
It looks like there's blood flow through it. Like through it, and it looks like the spleen has blood flow to it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, there's the hepatic vein, which is the big vein in the liver.
yeah, if I'm looking at this diagram correctly, again, it looks like it goes through the liver, not probably why the
Right.
person fucking died. It
Right. Yeah, massive
wasn't
blood
lack of
loss.
liver, it was the fucking dude ripped out some veins and fucking arteries that he wasn't supposed to. Yeah, I mean, I mean, dude, I don't feel like that person should, I feel like that person should go to jail. Like that's a pretty big fuck up.
That's a massive fuck up.
And it's like, that's in your realm of what you should know. Like you should tell the difference between organs. If you are qualified to remove one, you should be able to tell the difference between them.
Yeah, I feel like that those things should go hand in hand there.
And that's the other thing is like you as an idiot just standing there and me as an idiot just able to Google,
Right.
they're on different sides of the body.
Yep.
I'm no surgeon, but
I'm not a rocket surgeon, but nor
yeah,
nor
I
am I
mean that
a
dude, that's got to
splenic
be
surgeon.
more than a fucking lawsuit, in my opinion. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean at that point, right? Like I'm
Like
all
also, like
for
how can that person ever hold a medical license again?
they shouldn't, right? So like I'm all for like the death penalty there, not like in the sense of the person gets the death penalty in prison. I mean it more in the sense of like NCAA football death
Oh, okay.
penalty.
Because I was gonna say death penalty sounds a
No,
little
no, no.
strong.
So like,
Florida has it.
yeah, no, no, strip the person. Yeah, that's a good point. Strip the doctor of their medical license, right? Try them for manslaughter, medical malpractice, whatever, and then tag the hospital too. Sue the hospital for
Yeah, for
millions of
employing that
dollars as well
person.
for employing that person and not making
And
sure
then if
that
it's like,
like the
well,
doctor
no,
wasn't a fucking moron.
he's qualified. It's like, well, then your standards aren't good enough
Exactly.
because
Exactly. Yeah,
that's bad.
because you
That's
employ a
not just
doctor that removed the wrong organ. So that's what I mean by the death penalty. Like go after them all. Like shut down the hospital,
yeah.
get the guy, put the guy in jail, right? Like win a lawsuit for millions and millions of dollars. Like that's absurd. Like that's quite literally unacceptable.
Yeah, because it's like it's not. I'm sure there are situations where surgery's not going the way it's supposed to go. Doctor needs to make a snap jerk reaction,
Right.
and they use some level of logic or reason or medical background. Now they probably still get sued. They probably still get in trouble. They probably still lose their license temporarily, but they have a path to earn it back. Dude, we're not talking that.
Yeah. You don't get
We
to
are
earn it back.
talking we are talking you literally are incapable. So what did I say earlier? People really shouldn't like lose their jobs. Sorry, this guy should. But you can go be a PA or a nurse or something.
Yeah.
Like I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Can only get into so much trouble that way. Like can't remove the wrong organ as a PA. Fucking X-ray tech, whatever. I don't care. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
work something. But I mean, again, I also feel like that's probably jail worthy.
At minimum. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think I'm landing on definitely prison. Because there's
I
no excuse for that. There's no
yeah, I mean I
excuse.
feel like it's an imprisonable offense.
Especially because the person died. If you were like, oh no, took out the liver instead of the spleen, it's like
Yeah. Can
fuck,
I
get
just
that thing
glue it
back,
back on?
get that thing back in there, which probably isn't medically possible.
Right, right,
Like, let's get that thing back in there. But like the spleen's still there. It's like, okay, that's a lawsuit. That's a loss of license. Like, work
right,
your way back, like, whatever. But the person lives, they go to a different hospital, they remove the spleen, like, some complications, but like, sure. Again,
right,
she's
right.
it was a woman, right?
That was a man.
I'm sorry, was the doctor or the patient?
Both were
They were both
male.
men. Okay.
Yeah,
So the guy that was the patient, victim, whatever, probably has some complications, in for a hefty payday.
yeah,
But that's not what happened here. Like, it's criminal act. Like, that's criminal. That's where I stand on that.
right, right. It's at minimum criminal negligence, right? Like,
I don't even know if it's negligence, dude. I like
you have to know,
it just seems so
that that's
beyond
not the right
negligence.
organ, right?
It seems so beyond.
Like if you were going in for gastric bypass surgery and you took out a chunk of the spleen by accident, like at least they're right next to each other, right? Like the stomach and the spleen are right there. I don't maybe they look similar, I don't know. But
I think
like
once you open it up, almost everything kind of does, unless you're
yeah,
really good at what you do, in which case nothing probably does.
right. But like again, they're different sides of the body. They look totally different. Like
Different functions.
yeah, even a
Also, everybody else in
miscommunication,
everyone else in the room too.
yeah,
Like, you guys aren't off the hook either. Like,
right. Even a miscommunication about the procedure, right? Again, say you need to go in for let's call it gastric bypass, right? And the doctor gets cross signals and he goes in and performs a colostomy, right? So like you were supposed to have gastric bypass surgery, but they removed part of your large intestine and now you have to shit in a bag for the rest of your life, right? Like that's a really big problem and that's a huge lawsuit. However,
you
you're
didn't
not
kill
going to
anybody.
die, right? Like this doctor literally removed a vital organ. There's a few of them, right? It's the liver, it's the heart, the
Yeah,
lungs,
it's like, oh
the
well, I was gonna take
brain.
out your appendix, but I actually, here's your heart.
Yeah, it's like I'm pretty sure that's it. It's the liver, heart, lungs, brain are your vital organs. Right? Like again, you can live with one kidney, right? Like you can
Can you live
take
without a
out
whole
pieces.
stomach?
I mean, not the whole thing. You do need some part of the stomach,
Yeah.
but that is gastric bypass surgery, is
Right.
they go around the stomach. They can take out parts of your large and small intestines, right? Like all of these organs are considered non-vital. There's only a handful of ones that are vital, and he removed that one.
Yeah, 20% chance.
So yeah, see you later. Go to jail,
5.
lose your license, do whatever, but like you're fucked, buddy. So fuck the hospital. And to your point, fuck everyone that was in that room with the
Everyone.
doctor too.
Everyone. The only people who are safe, I guess, are probably the interns, because they're the ones who aren't supposed to know what's going on.
Right, right. Yeah. So with that, you want to wrap this one up?
We can wrap this up.
All right. What do you got?
So, as we are listing this condo, there are couple needs, right?
Hmm.
Last week I spoke about the microwave that blew. Yes.
Yes, you did. Yep.
Okay. So we had the microwave that blew. We had a ceiling fan that the fan was working and the light was not. So I'm no electrician, nor are you. You've got a fan that works and a light that doesn't.
The
What do you?
light
What's
bulbs.
your
Yeah.
what's your first? Okay, okay. And we put new bulbs in
Okay. All
multiple
right.
times. Like she thought she maybe bought the wrong type of bulb. She's looking up fucking sizes of the fucking thing. Like, she's looking up everything for the bulbs. It's not the
Right.
bulbs.
Right. Okay.
Because
Yeah. Because I was
I'm
gonna say
like,
my
are they dim?
first thought is it's the bulbs.
Because I was like, yeah, are they dimmable? She goes, yes, they're dimmable. I'm like, well, do they fit? Yeah, they fit. Like, they fit. They're fucking light bulbs, dude.
Right.
Like,
Right.
It's only when they don't work that you really start to question. It's like, do I know how to purchase light bulbs?
Maybe I don't know how to buy light
Yeah,
bulbs.
maybe. Yeah, yeah. Am I, that's Homer Simpson reading the book. Am I disabled? So I don't know where you stand. Do you call an electrician in that situation?
Um,
Because
probably
really,
probably
because
not.
I feel like you have two options, right?
Yeah,
One is to remove it and replace it.
right.
The other is to call an electrician, right?
Yeah.
What do you go right to remove and replace?
Yeah, probably. Just because we tried to call an electrician last year for something fucking stupid and they sent me a quote for like $700. And I was like, I'm not paying you $700 to come out here.
Okay, so there's precedent there.
Yeah,
So because we're listing this place, I want to use like an abundance of caution, right? Because
right,
I don't know why the fan works, but the light doesn't.
right.
And that's the other piece. If the fan did not work and the light did not work, I would lean towards replacing it.
Yeah, because that tells me that something is incorrect or
Right.
broken in the unit itself because it's not the electrical wiring. Because if it was the wiring, then the fan wouldn't work either, right?
Right.
Because there's only one wire. Like I know there are multiple wires, right? But there's only like one electrical power supply, right? That comes from the circuit breaker that runs into the wire that gets connected to the fan, right? So if the lights don't work, but the fan does, I know the connection probably isn't the issue. It's probably something in the fan is broken.
Right. Have you replaced ceiling fans? Because I know you did light fixtures, as have I.
Um, I don't think I ever have, now that I
The
think of
same
it.
idea. But
Yeah.
I, knowing how much of a pain in the ass electrical is, I mean, outlets are still the fucking worst. I was unwilling to just buy a new fan and just see if it worked. Because then the other thing too is like we also have open houses, we have the house listed, so it's like
Right.
I can't just have it up there with or I it's like so I need a finished structure up there.
Right.
And if it is a bigger problem, that needs to be addressed. So if I do put the new fan in, I got to go all the way through installing it and I got to get it in there. And then if it doesn't work, I still don't know if it was me or if it's whatever the issue was, right?
Right. 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 Right.
So we did call an electrician and they came out and the dude troubleshooted it for like an hour and it cost way too much. And he goes, all right, so he goes, all your power is good until you get to the transformer that leads to the light. I go, so replace the thing. He goes, yep. He goes, you replace it, it's good. I don't see why you would repair this. I go, I don't either. In my head, I go, pay $80 for a fan, do it myself, as little as I want to do that.
Right.
Fine. But send me a quote, man. Like, we'll see what your time is worth. One ceiling fan. Remove the ceiling fan, replace the ceiling fan. I provide the ceiling fan because they didn't have any. The electric company didn't have any fans.
Okay. All
How
right.
much you want to think they quoted us for?
$600.
$1,200, dude, to replace a ceiling fan.
Holy shit.
$1,200. I
Dude,
go,
we should have went to tech school. I'm telling you right now, like that I don't have very many regrets in life, almost none, right? But one of them is like, did I really need to go to college?
nope. Should have been an electrician, dude,
Yeah, holy shit.
or plumber. Those are like, because people can fake being carpenters
Yeah.
and like
Or I shouldn't say
semi
that. I
get
should say the one real regret that I do have is
HVAC.
is going to school for exercise science, right? Make it a complete thought, right? Like if I did go to college and went for something like business, right, to get like an MBA, or now that I'm in the world, knowing that there's well, that's the other thing too. I don't know if 20 years ago project management was a degree, but they certainly have them now. But like something along those lines, like if I went and did that, like that would have made way more sense. Or just engineering, right? Thinking back on it, like, dude, I should have went to school to be a fucking engineer. Like,
Well, the other thing too is
I love
construction
math and
management.
science and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like that was
Con-
such a fucking flub.
construction management is a major at schools. I didn't know that
Yeah. Yeah.
because
I didn't either.
I went to my fucking guidance counselor's office being like, I don't know if I want to go to school. I kind of want to go to fucking trade school and
Yeah.
like learn something, whatever. And she didn't fucking turn again, like not this isn't her fault. She turned around and goes, "You're not going to trade school. I won't sign your shit."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "No, you're going to like regular school." Would have been nice to say, "Have you ever thought about construction management?"
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're looking for a trade.
Or, dude, truthfully, like if you really were into this, so that's the thing, right? So again, going through it now and being in my 30s and being seeing both worlds, having lived through, an exercise science degree twice, right, for a master's degree in this shit, okay, right? If I were to look at someone and they were like, oh, like I want to be an electrician, right? And it's like, okay, well, if you want to give them the cope, right, of you're too smart, quote unquote, to be an electrician, okay, why don't you go to school, right? So, like, you want to be an electrician, that's what you really want to do, but you're quote unquote too smart. All right,
Yeah.
why don't you go to school for electrical engineering, right? Because then you never
Unfortunately,
have to
probably
do
not
the
smart enough.
you never have to do the fucking work, right? Of being the grunt of the
Right.
electrician, right? But you still get to do the electrician shit,
Right.
but just in a different way because you're an electrical engineer,
So
right? And you get
unfortunately,
paid
but
way more fucking money.
that's a problem. Unfortunately, probably not smart enough for that.
Well, yeah, yeah,
But that's my thing. I'm like, because it's like thinking back, like to the day, and it's like, okay, so and then I ended up getting, you know, kind of where I wanted to go. But like, if you look back at it, it's like where I was when I was 17 years old.
yeah.
I couldn't even make an informed decision because I didn't even know what was available. Dude, I didn't even know exercise science was a fucking major
Well, yeah, I mean,
until
that's
I
part of the
got to
issue.
school and Bill was doing it.
Yeah.
Anywho,
I didn't know either until I got to school and both you and Bill were doing it. And I was like, you mean I can do this?
well, dude, and that was the thing is I went
I
to
can
the
go to school for
office talking
lifting
about
weights.
I went in rambling about nutrition and fucking like running a fucking gym or a fitness center, and the guy goes, "Yeah, okay, we were gonna do exercise science because the other programs weren't strong enough.
Right.
Exercise
Right.
science was the strong program, so here we
Right.
are, roundabout way we got there."
Right.
But now the exercise scientist is fucking installing a ceiling fan because I ain't paying 1,200 fucking dollars for someone to fucking do it for me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
go to Lowe's, pick up the ceiling fan, go over to the microwaves. Lowe's tells you go over to Bay, whatever. There's 6 of these microwaves.
Right.
Go over there. They ain't there. Okay, so you get someone. I don't know how long we waited. It must have taken this poor woman 25 minutes from when we first said, we're looking for this microwave. Do you know where they are? To actually coming out with it on the fucking flat thing.
Yeah, dude, Lowe's is really bad about that. I can't tell you the amount of times I've gone in there to be like, hey, do you have this thing that I'm looking for? And they're like, oh, let me look it up. And I'm like, no, it's on my phone. Like, I
Yeah.
know it's here. And they're like, yeah, 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 let me look it up on my little
It's
PDA
the same thing.
device,
Oh, it says
whatever.
it's in Bay
And
Zero.
they're like, oh, yeah. And I go, yeah, man, my phone that I
My phone
told you
tells me
five
that
minutes
too. It's the
ago, it
same
told me the same
inventory.
thing. Right. So then they're like, oh, now I got to go find somewhere else. At the same time, it's happened to me at least three times that I can think of off the top of my head, probably in the last like year and a half ish. When I go to Lowe's and look for something and it's not in the bay where it's supposed to be, I'm like, well, here we go. I'm going to be here for a half hour just because they need to go find it in the
Yep.
store somewhere.
So we finally get the microwave, the ceiling fan. We bring it home because that was on Friday because it was an open house Saturday. We're not doing anything. So
Right.
today's the day.
Yeah. Until someone goes through in the open house, pulls the thing. Oh, how come the light doesn't
Yeah.
work in the ceiling
No,
fan?
well, we did tell like, hey, just let them know they're being replaced. But
Yeah, yeah. Because
um,
that would happen. Well, I mean, I
so
would put an offer in, but
over the range microwave. I have a clue how to do a ceiling fan. I have no fucking idea how that microwave is where it is. So I'm like,
yeah,
all right, let's go to YouTube. It's like, okay, so go to YouTube, go to your cabinet above, unplug it. You have an over the top, right?
we do. Yeah.
Yep. So then you look, there's usually two bolts, unscrew the bolts, and the thing just kind of falls. So I'm like, okay, it's go time. Wake up, feel like I got hit by a fucking train. I feel terrible. Didn't even drink this weekend. Okay. First bolt comes out. Second bolt comes out. Okay. Should have fell. Or it should be in Michaela's arms right now.
Right.
Nothing. All right. We are off to a great start. We are pretty much off to the start that I kind of thought we'd be off to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. It's
I'm
the air
kind of like
conditioner all over again.
trying to jostle it. Yeah, it's the air conditioner again, same thing. So I'm trying to jostle it. And I'm like, missing something. I don't know what
Yeah.
I'm missing. I'm missing something. So she said, she goes, just put the bolts back in. Let's go do the ceiling fan. And of course, in my great attitude, go, why? So that won't work either. So the ceiling fan, uninstalling the old one, taking it off piece by piece, like removing screws as we go up. And then
Yep.
there are some screws, and I'm like, I don't know how the fuck we're supposed to get to these. We cannot get to these. Like they're between the ceiling, whatever. Well, my dumbass doesn't know that the screws I needed were fucking covered up the whole time. So it's like there's like a fucking ring at the top. You got to spin that
Oh
off,
yeah.
and like
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
there's the fucking screws. I'm like, fuck. Like
Yeah.
you're a fucking more like this is. I'm like, this is what happens when you're fucking retarded. So it's out. Fine. And then, all the wires are sticking out. And it's like, I got the mounting plate and the directions fucking suck. So it's like, I'm going back up, but I'm like, I don't know which wires go to which. Cause I'm like,
You
there's
cut the
four
green one.
wires. Well, so this is the thing. Green goes to green.
You
Black goes
always
to
always cut the green one.
green goes to green. Black goes to black. White goes to white. Well, that leaves me with copper, red, and blue.
Well, the copper is your ground.
Right. Green is ground. So I'm looking and I'm like, because then I like remembered off the top of my head, I'm like, oh, when we do the outlets, the copper wraps around the green screw and then you
Right.
screw it back in and then it comes out, whatever. So I like start on the green screw and it's like, it's not long enough. I go, fuck, well, that's not it. So apparently you just jam the copper in with both greens and just fucking call it a day. Black goes to black, white goes to white, and blue and red go together. Great. Like, fine.
Fantastic.
So shove it up there, install it, whatever. It probably takes us an hour and a half. And obviously, it's so annoying because you're up on the step stool, your
Your
fucking
arms are
arms
up like
overhead.
this. Yeah.
My shoulders are gonna be killing me tomorrow. My calves are gonna be sore as shit from standing on my fucking toes. I'm like, this sucks. And at this point, I feel even like very awful. Like I think I've just run myself into the fucking ground again. So I'm like, I cannot tackle that microwave. But if I'm gonna prep all my food for the week, the microwave has to go in. So I sit down, I watch the Patriots game, get through halftime, fall asleep on the couch, wake up, game's over. Like, I'm like, all right, well, it's now or never on this microwave.
Yeah.
So I go to the microwave and I take the front grill off because I was looking at a video where there's a lock. It locks in place.
Oh, okay.
So I'm looking for the lock. There is no lock. What does my dumbass find? I missed a fucking bolt. There's three bolts up top,
Ah,
not two.
okay. All right. Oh, there you go.
So when you remove all three, guess what happens?
That falls
Falls right
down.
down.
Yeah.
So this is what happens when you are fucking mentally retarded. And people are like, oh, you can't say that word. I even saw it today. It's like, you shouldn't be using that word. And like, here are some links to get some help. I recommend you educate yourself. I'm not using it to make fun of people who have learning disabilities or physical disabilities or mental disabilities. I'm using it to describe someone who truly is fucking retarded. I missed the bolt that was most central because it was like one all the way to the left, one kind of to the right, and then one all the way to the right. I missed the one
Yeah.
that was kind of to the right,
Right. Right.
like a fucking asshole.
Yeah. But you got it. I mean,
So
you're
the
good now.
microwave's in.
Yeah.
The new one's in, semi annoying, and also above the range microwaves are fucking nasty, dude. Like they are fucking disgusting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like
Well, they just collect all the shit that
so much
comes
oil and
from
grease.
from the
Fucking,
stove.
they are fucking nasty.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like I even grabbed because I foresaw this coming from the morning, and I was like, "Do you have any?" Like I grab a towel from the basement. I go, "If this towel was to be destroyed, do you have any attachment to this towel?" Nope. I go, "Okay," knowing that I'm like, we're never using this towel again.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going right in the trash.
Yep. But ceiling fans in, microwaves in.
Nice. It's like a whole new place.
It's so not though.
Uh, all right. Well, my final thought is so we've been actually delivering the moves for the pharmaceutical client, from one part of Cambridge to another. And per their request, right, the project team, they wanted a daily wrap up meeting, right? Which they said was just to be quick every day from 4:30 to 5 o'clock, right? Just to hit what got done today. Does anyone have any questions, any issues? What do we have going on tomorrow? Let's so on and so forth, good to go. All right, see you later. I think it was Thursday. So the move starts on Tuesday, right? We go through Tuesday, no problem. Um, no real big moves. Tuesday was mostly like packing and prepping everything with the moving company. Wednesday, things start to move, no problems there, a little bit over, whatever. So Tuesday meeting, we end at 5. Wednesday meeting probably ends at like 5:15, right? It goes a little bit over, but it's not a problem. Thursday, we have the meeting, right? Starts at 4:30. Everyone gets on, do the thing, start talking. Some things are coming up, right? I got something I got to bring up. This other person talks. Then we get closer to 5 o'clock, and I go, "Hey, I hate to interrupt you, but like, I need an answer on this one thing now because I need to call this other company and like see if they can get out here to support us tomorrow." Right. And I can't expect other people to work after 5 o'clock just because I am. So like I need you guys to give me something now. And it was like 4:50. Right. And they were like, they gave me the information I needed. I jumped off the call, right? Thinking I was like, all right, I'm probably done, right? I called one company, I had to call another company. I lined everything up. I got everything done that I needed to do. And I texted my boss and my coworkers. We're in a group text. And I go, hey, is that call still going? And they were like, yep, sure is. It was probably like 5:30-ish. So I got off the call at 4:50, right? I got back on the call at 5:30. It continued on until 6:15, almost my whole ride home from work. Because that was the other thing too, is like because it sometimes runs late, like I try and take that call from the car, right? So again, it starts at 4:30. So I tried to be like done and in the car on the way home at 4:30. So again, I can talk to people and do what I need to do while I'm driving home. Almost my entire ride home from 4:30 to 6:15, I was on that call or making other phone calls to set stuff up for the next day. And I was like, that was absolutely absurd. So I think you you got a couple Snapchats from me. I think I sent it to the group text, but like I was sending it to like Jones and Amy being like, this is absurd. This meeting is still going. Like they're just talking about all kinds of crazy shit. And then after that, at the end of that, right, like right around 6 o'clock on Thursday, they were like, oh, for tomorrow's meeting, should we bump it earlier? Because it's Friday afternoon. And I was like, yes, 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 we should. So we started it at 3 o'clock on Friday. What time do you think it ended?
Hopefully by 6:15.
4:30. It ended on Friday. Because we moved it earlier, I didn't leave, right? Like so I wasn't gonna leave at like fucking 2:30, right? So I could be in the car for the call. So I was like, all right, I'll stay here. We had a bunch of people there. And the 3 o'clock on a Friday call went until 4:30. So I still left Cambridge at 4:30, as I had been trying to do all week anyway. So I cannot wait until this job is over and I start my new job, because this particular client is a lot. It's pretty frequent that meetings run late, start late, run way late. It's just a pain in the ass. The whole thing's a pain in the ass. So yeah, but that was a new record for me. Um, a 30-minute meeting going almost 2 full hours. That's a new corporate world record for me. So fuck that also. But yeah, so that's going to do it for us. So subscribe up above if you're on YouTube. Hit the thumbs up down below. Subscribe if you're an audio only guy as well. 5 stars and a review on Spotify and iTunes. Instagram is Sarcasm Speaks Pod. Twitter is Sarcasm_speaks. Facebook is Sarcasm Speaks. Website, sarcasmspeaks.com. Check out the show notes below and get some cool shit. Get some discounts. Support us, support them. And until next time, good night, everybody.